Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome to What We Thought Would Happen. I'm Daniel Webb.
I'm Laura Kightlinger.
And we are so excited and thrilled to have a mega superstar, hilarious comedian, a great writer, and legend. Please welcome Julia Sweeney.
Woo!
We've already been having like pastry nosh talk, but it started with Laura asking Julia, "What's your sign?" And then it devolved.
Well, I know. that was my stupidity.
I said my sign is stop.
Yeah.
I'm a stop sign.
She said, "Be realistic. Can you please for 2 seconds?" It's bullshit. But wait, no. You know what? I wanted to ask Julia because I'm kind of trying really hard to figure out a way to live in Ireland about Galway.
I thought it was Cork.
Oh, I am, but I thought you were in Galway.
I was in Galway, but when I had my experience, you said you wanted to move to Cork.
Yes.
And I said I had sex with a guy in a jail in Cork.
In the cell?
In the cell.
Wow.
How did that happen? Don't they separate men and women?
No.
Wow.
Well, what happened is I had met this guy at a pub. We were attracted to each other. His accent.
Oh.
County Cork.
Oh, my Lord.
And we had to leave because he had to go home. He had to go buy somewhere to take his evening tablets. I remember that. Instead of pills, he said tablets.
Oh, fantastic.
And we were in a park and we became naked and we were fooling around in a park. And then all of a sudden we hear, "You can't be doing that kind of thing here in the park in County Cork."
Whoa.
And we were thrown into the back of a paddy wagon.
Wow.
Yes, which, you know,
So you
a
were
derogative
paddy
term,
wagon.
paddy wagon. Okay, but anyway,
You went to
and we
jail,
went to jail and then
in the
they put us in-
1800s.
Yes. No, it was, I'll tell you exactly when it was. It was 1981.
Okay.
And isn't that when you were born?
82.
82.
This
You were
is
just
just
you were just a
before. I
twinkle
was
in your parents' eyes.
Yeah, I was in utero, yeah.
and they put us in the same cell.
Just the two of you.
Just the two of us.
So you could continue having
And
sex.
so we
Exactly, right?
continued
Oh my
having sex
God.
in the cell, and then at the end, I realized that the cop who pulled us in was watching.
Wow.
What? Yeah,
So
it
what
was
is it like?
crazy.
So will you please just describe the
Paint
jail
us
cell?
a
Like
picture.
It was just like a little, like this room with a cement beds. It was just like blocks.
Uh-huh.
It was not a comfortable experience.
Yeah. And what?
I mean,
then-
it sounds like it was small, like it was like on the Andy Griffith show, like there's just bars.
Yeah,
I
it is.
totally
Yeah,
see
no,
it.
it's just bars. Yeah, it was just
Oh.
like kind of open
Because it is.
cell.
And I picture the person watching is very Don Knotts, like googly eyed,
Yeah, he
like
was
slack
not. It
jawed.
wasn't. Well, I guess it was creepy. Now to remember it, it's just creepy in all aspects. But at the time, it just seemed like it's just an evening for him at County Cork Jail.
I want to know what was in the tablets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
So wait,
Did he give you some?
I actually
too?
remember his name, Denny Donovan.
Oh my God! Not Denny. Not
Denny
fucking
Donovan. Denny Donovan.
Oh my God!
Denny Donovan and his tablets.
I slept with him too.
Well, he was very attractive.
Was the part?
And he was a ginger. He had bright red hair.
And when ladies' eyes are smiling, sure they steal your heart away.
What were you doing in Ireland then?
After I graduated from college, I spent 4 months just going around Europe with my brother, backpacking around.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Because that's where Laura wants to move.
I know. I
She's
keep
sell-
blabbing about it.
She just shoved two pillows in your hands. They take them with them. Everything
I know,
must go.
she's trying to buy my affection to
I know.
Ireland
I know.
through pillows.
I've already proposed because I think it's the only way I'm going to get there. And Julie, you're in the process of becoming an Irish citizen,
Yes.
right? So what's that? I mean, what
it's
do you have
a lot.
to do?
Well,
exactly.
it costs about $1,200.
Okay.
You have to hire a lawyer. I could tell you about my lawyer. You have to gather a lot of documents to prove, like I had to get my grandfather's birth certificate. My grandfather's, actually that's what's holding it up because my grandfather
Won't tell
who
you
was
what sign
Irish.
he is. He's afraid.
He died the year I was born, 1959. And he was a construction worker, but he was in Ecuador when he was killed in a construction accident. So
Oh,
to
God.
get the death certificate from Ecuador is difficult. But I did get a State Department announcement that he had died from 1959, but they're saying that's not good enough. I need to get actually an Ecuadorian death certificate. And my feeling is he was born in 1878. Like, can't we just assume he's dead?
Yeah.
Like, why how do you not think this guy's dead? This guy is dead.
Yeah.
That can't be alive.
Yeah.
That didn't even dawn on me. So they think that there's a possibility that he could say, I wasn't a citizen. Like they
It's a
want him
scam.
to. They
have his birth certificate. He was
Right.
born in Dublin.
Right.
So he's Irish. But I think it's because so many people are trying to get Irish citizenship.
Oh,
This is what
okay.
the lawyers say, that they're just being really picky and hoping that by attrition people will drop off and not do it. Because they're actually trying to dissuade people from becoming Irish citizens. Because once you do get Irish citizenship, then you have EU citizenship, which is very valuable.
Ka-ching.
Right. Damn.
So you still can do it. I mean, if you go on the Irish website, it'll tell you everything you have to do. But it's taken me like 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
And I'm still not done.
See, I've been to Ireland. I've been to the Cats Laughs Comedy Festival twice, and I went to Dublin, I think, for something for Comedy Central. But I feel like that is equal to citizenship. That I've done stand up in front of those people, and
I tried that too. I tried saying, "Hey, I've gone there, I've done radio shows."
yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, we don't care about that."
Do you like performing over there? Or is that
Well,
not-
I didn't really. I did a couple of little things and did a radio show. I did some publicity for something. But I love Dublin. I do love Dublin. And I do have 42 cousins in Dublin.
See, that's
Right
not
now?
enough?
Yes, right now.
So I'm picturing you going to Ecuador, right? You have to like rifle through old papers.
Well, the lawyers, this is like 3 weeks ago, so I have to work on it again.
Uh-huh.
I've been very bad. Sent me the place that I need to contact to get the Ecuadorian, but I just have to do it.
yeah.
So I'm glad that we're having this conversation. So when I get home, I'll continue on with my Irish citizenship.
Well, do you think? I mean, what if you just buy a house there, or you can't?
No, you can't.
Oh,
Well, they did issue me a number, which meant that I'm in the queue to become a citizenship if I get all the papers in, and that allows me to buy property there if I want to. But I can't afford to buy property there. So that's not going to happen.
Because my dream was like Iceland, right? I was walking around Reykjavik.
yeah.
I was like, how much is like with a friend who lives there? And we're just pointing at houses in the city. I'm like, what does that cost? They're like, I don't know, like 300,000. I'm like, that's it. And then this one lady I was at a party. She'd been raised in the flat. We're in her flat. She had been raised in this very apartment. And her parents left her when she was 14. And years later,
Her parents just like broke up with her but left her the apartment.
Precisely. Well, I go, they left you here? She said, they just walked out. Right?
oh my God!
And
I'm
then
glad they didn't see the little girl at the end of the lane. Okay.
she was walking down the street one day in her adulthood, and she saw that the whole building was for sale. So she goes, she wanted to close the karma, which I never heard that phrase before. I love that phrase.
Wow.
She wanted to close the karma. So I bought the whole building.
Wait, how does that close the karma? I don't
She
know.
bought the building, so she owned the place that she had been
Oh, so she
abandoned
couldn't
in.
be abandoned
Left
at this
ever
place.
again.
Her
Right,
life
right.
goal was to never to be in charge of this building, all of it.
And I remember
Okay.
blinking and
Wow.
being like, you own the whole building. She goes, uh-huh. And I go, what do you do for a living? She goes, I'm a masseuse.
Wow.
It's like, what the fuck? Like, how do I want to live in one of those countries where you can still have like a job and be a flat owner.
Yeah.
Well,
You
I'm
know?
constantly
Wow.
looking at like, I could buy that farm. It's 200,000. I could, yeah,
But you have to live in Maine.
But then you have to go live there.
yeah, I know. And in Ireland, yeah, at a farm that has probably not
Is
like,
this-
hot water and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You liked the West Coast is what you said, yeah?
I do like it. It's very desolate.
What is
Like
that?
it's not treesy. Like it's just and it's green and I don't know. I like Clifton. Clifton
Yeah.
is my
That's your
favorite place. When I'm feeling blue, I look at houses in Clifton online.
Oh, I always look at houses there too. And Julia, we have something else in common. We were both on SNL.
Oh yeah.
Did your years overlap, you and Laura's?
No.
What, are you,
What years were
95?
you?
I was 94 to 95.
Yeah, and I was I left before 94, the fall of 94. I went through the spring of 94. So you were there.
That's so crazy.
That would have been fun. I wish I was
I
there when you were there.
I know.
You were groundlings?
Yeah.
And people on your cast, so you were like the Phil Hartman era.
Yeah.
You
Well,
were-
Phil was older than me, but he was my teacher at the Groundlings and then got on
Wow.
So
SNL.
amazing. That is
That's
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah.
Were you ever there with Jan Hooks?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was there for
yes.
3 years with Jan.
Oh,
That's
she's
so-
I love her so much.
Give me a good
Yeah.
Jan Hooks story. I love Jan.
Well, she was just so. When I first got on the show, I got this huge bouquet of flowers, and it was from Jan, saying like it was so nice, saying "Welcome to the show. I'm so excited for you to be on." And then I felt bad when other people got on the show, and I did not send them flowers. You know what? I'm not that nice.
Yeah.
I just said, "Hey,
Yeah.
good to, welcome to the show."
Yeah.
But I'm not sending you a big bouquet of flowers
Yes.
like Jan sent me.
Yeah.
That show is so intense, right? Like to work on.
Yeah.
And you're 4 seasons you're on?
Yeah.
Which one of those is the scariest? Like, are you confident the first season?
Oh.
Are you there where you're like third season and you're like, oh my God.
First
have
season
I-
was just a dream of happiness. Second
That's great.
season was also great. The third season, that was when all of a sudden I wasn't getting cast and they were saying things like, there's no one here pretty enough to play the pretty girl in this sketch.
Yeah.
You know, like, we'll have to bring a model in to play this part.
Oh my
Yeah. Was the Groundlings is pretty even keel, right? It's not
Yeah,
like
I
a
was
male-dominated environment, right?
No, it's so funny though, because I talked to someone recently who said something like, the Groundlings to me was Eden. You know, like it was just, hey, everybody, let's put on a show.
Wow.
Everybody's, you know, there to help everyone else. Everyone's so happy. And I'd said that to somebody at the Groundlings and they said, oh yeah, well, you were so good with the politics around there. And I was like, the politics around the Groundlings? Really?
Oh.
Wow.
So then I that kind of threw me like, oh, maybe for me it seemed like an Eden, but maybe for other people, they didn't perceive it that way. And maybe that's true at SNL. Like if you're really doing well, it doesn't seem horrible. But so I feel like the first year I did really well. And then I didn't really notice that it could be really difficult. And then things got more difficult for me. And then I started seeing how competitive it was and how my natural naivete allowed me to have a beginning there that was kind of relatively stress-free. But then I kind of wisened up and saw how political, if you want to call it that, it really was. And then the main thing was that Christine Zander, who's a writer there, we met, actually when I went in, Lauren said, your office will be this number and you're going to go in there and inside will be a woman named Christine Zander and you're going to become best friends and you're going to write everything together.
Oh, nice.
And I said, okay. I'd like have my little box of personal items. And then I walk in, I met her and we became best friends and we were joined at the hip and wrote everything together for 4 years. But then, well, for 3 years. And then she left and I didn't understand how the key to my happiness there was Christine. Because we had each other to look across a room. We had exactly the same sense of humor. We wrote sketches for other people. Like we're so in sync because she got on a staff writing position on Third Rock from the Sun, I think. And so she left and she had a kid and, you know, she wanted to get back to LA. So she went to LA and then I was completely at sea. Like I had nobody. They had a lot of new people acting. It became even kind of the guy energy. It was so dominant.
Yeah.
And there was no room for my humor in that type of humor. Like there was just no room for me.
The 90s were sort of bro-y, though. They were like, I know men dominate everything all the time, but like even when you look back, there was an interview with like the guys from Nirvana and like they knew they got big when jocks and bros started showing up at their gigs. And they're like,
Oh, yeah.
jocks listen to us, right?
Yeah.
They're used to like weird, like a different demographic. But that energy was very
I feel like it
strong.
took someone like Tina Fey to break that. I think
Yeah,
she broke
yeah,
it.
for sure.
And I admire her and I wish I could be more like her, but I realize it takes someone that caliber and that determination and that ballsy to really change it all around.
Yeah.
And I think she did change it all around. I think it really changed then.
Yeah.
But I know I couldn't have been that.
Was that a show you watched? Like in the
I was really SCTV. SCTV
Yeah.
was what made me
Yes.
want to be an actress.
Yeah.
SNL, like I would say to people, SCTV made me laugh my head off, and it was like, let me in. Like I want to be on that show. I want to
big
do what they're
time.
doing.
Yeah.
SNL, I thought they're cool. They're cool. Like I could see that they seemed cool, but it wasn't that it was so funny to me. It was more like hip. Where SCTV was just pure hilarity.
It's so
to me.
funny.
Oh, I know. Oh,
Catherine
so...
O'Hara's like
Oh, my
ancient
God.
Lucille Ball impersonation.
Oh my God.
It's so funny.
No, she's
And
so
Andrea
good.
Martin.
And
is
Andrea
so
Martin's so great.
incredible.
Andrea Martin. I mean, there's Catherine O'Hara, and Catherine O'Hara hosted when I was on the show. That to me, that
wow.
was the most exciting host. Her hosting was the best.
Because that's the other thing. I'm obsessed with like being starstruck with people, especially that show in particular. Because
Yeah.
so many musicians and movie stars are like walking through there. Like, were there people ever that just like stopped you in your tracks, or was it Catherine O'Hara?
Well, Catherine O'Hara, without her, I probably wouldn't have gotten into the whole, like, it was really, SCTV was a big thing for me.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it made me want to put on wigs and act funny.
Julia,
and
where
act
did you grow
characters.
up?
Spokane, Washington.
Oh, okay.
I like it up there, sort of. I mean, I'm not from
Yeah,
there, but I
I do
performed
too.
up there. Yeah, it's pretty country, and
It's very conservative. Half of the town's conservative, and they're the half that is in control of everything.
Yeah, that's yeah.
But it's nice. It's actually, I just spent a bunch of time up there.
I think we met at Luna Park.
Yeah, I think so
right?
too.
With
Yeah.
Beth's show, and that when it was on Robertson.
Yeah, that was so great.
Oh my God.
And oh my God, you're so funny.
Oh,
Oh my
you
God, I
are
love
too.
watching you. I just want to watch you and watch you and watch you.
You're an angel. Well, thank you. I remember that room because there was a sprinkler on the ceiling, and it was a really low ceiling, and I put my hand up and hit the sprinkler. It didn't go off, but I cut the shit out of my hand. I had blood going all the way
Oh
down
my
arm.
God.
Yeah.
Laura.
I know.
Oh my
'Cause I'm
God.
so, like accident prone, but I just remember that. Like
That's
and I
the
kept
night you
going,
met?
No.
No.
Oh, okay.
That's just your Luna Park thing. But this is what I love about Luna Park. It only held 50 people.
Gosh.
That's
yeah.
so little. Like
Right.
that, I had a confessional feel to it. Like, and it was kind of pre-internet and social media, so it was like you really felt like you were at a dinner party.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you could just say anything.
Oh, I know. That was so fun.
I miss that.
But you do that. The show we did at Largo, or I was on your show
Yes.
at Largo. It wasn't just comedy. You were
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
having, you
That's
had,
right.
Like an open kind of.
You were so
religious-
nice to do that. I feel like that didn't work really.
Oh, it totally worked.
Really?
I thought so because the comedy part was great, but then the conversation you and Pete had,
Oh, right.
was really funny. But then the conversation was great. I liked the concept because
I was interviewing an author. I was trying to do my fantasy talk show, I guess.
Yeah.
Mostly comedians, interview an author, have a
Mm-hmm.
serious discussion.
Yeah, it was great.
I felt it was like, I don't know.
Was it in the main room at Largo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But it was-
I like that room a lot.
And also, I feel like I liked it as a fantasy, but I'm not a big enough draw to just sell out that place say I did every month. That was kind of my fantasy.
Yeah.
I could if I did it and made it my only thing I did, and I promoted it everywhere I went, and I just couldn't
Yeah.
do that.
That's the
Yeah,
job.
it's
You know, it's
hard.
just too much.
Yeah.
But I like how you mix the comedy and the topics, because you talked about, like, we were talking about horoscopes, and you've talked about, you found out you weren't a Libra.
Yes, my mother told me the wrong birth date.
What?
Yes, until I was 12. Because she was trying to get me into school, and there was a cutoff of September 15th. And my birthday was October 10th. So she told me my birthday was September 10th. And then as I grew up, I thought I was a Virgo. So I got a huge Virgo poster for my room.
Oh my Lord!
I
Now
was
this,
reading my horoscope every day. I'm a Virgo. I'm so a
Now
Virgo.
this,
I get it.
Now
I
you
get
get
it.
it.
Now I get the hatred
But
for the
no, but
horoscopes and all this shit.
the hatred for the horoscope didn't really come with that. But then I found out when I was 12 that I was actually a Libra, and then my joke is like, oh, I went from a beautiful woman by the water, which is Virgo, to a scale. My symbol is a scale, and I'm 12, so I'm filling out, and I'm already all the women in our family are in a panic that you're going to get fat, which of course then everyone did.
Yeah.
But it was like the awareness at 12. It was really, that was the age of reason where you go, oh my God, not only am I not a beautiful girl by the water, I'm a scale, and every time I have to look up my horoscope, I have to look for the scale. But anyway, I did switch
You have
over.
the same birthday as Brian Kiley.
Oh, really?
October 10th.
Oh, 10-10.
Yeah.
So, okay, do you know what I discovered? Because you have gotten into talking about atheism, which I know is
Yeah.
a loaded word, but I like that
Yes,
you talk
it is.
about it, right?
I know.
It's a heavy word. But I was obsessed with Madeleine Mary O'Hare,
Oh, yeah.
which she was the most hated woman in America.
Yeah.
But in my research of her, I have her same birthday.
You
Oh,
do?
Yeah,
April
it's
13th.
April 13. I'm
Oh,
the
that's
same
so
as
funny.
her. She was on Carson.
Oh, yeah.
You know
No,
what I
she
mean?
was. That set back atheism, I think. Although, you know what? I kind of regret that I said I am an atheist, but I kind of regret that I talked about it so much.
Well, 'cause
Wait a
it's not like
second.
it comes, it's a...
Julie, I'm glad that
It's a
you
weird
talk
word.
about it because look, you grew up you're Irish Catholic, right?
Yes.
Did you go to church on
Yes.
Sundays with your family?
Oh, I wanted to be a nun.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What
I
cha-
took it seriously. I actually listened to what they said. I listened to the sermons, and I thought it was true.
Yeah, see?
Turned out even they didn't think it was true. But I always think that was my mistake, and I think my mom was trying to tell me that.
Oh, really?
Well, she kept saying, "Don't you think everyone thinks like you?" And I'd be like, "Well, then why do they go?"
Yeah.
But now that I'm older, I realize it's a social lubricant.
Yes.
It's like saying, it was meant to be. People say that in Hollywood a lot. Oh, it was meant to be. It's like, it doesn't really mean anything. It just means that's what happened. It's just like, it's social oil. Like you just, and like in Spokane, it will be like, well, I'm praying for you. It doesn't really mean they're going to go off and pray for you. It's just something to say.
Correct. Yeah.
And so now it bothers me that people think these stories are true. I mean, to me, to think they're true robs the interesting aspect of the story from them. They're actually really interesting stories if you know their stories.
Right.
Yes.
Like Moses, Abraham, it's wildly interesting.
Yeah.
It might partly be braided together with some actual history, but it's interesting that this is the story that was told and told and told. And if you're saying it's literally true, every single thing that happened, it's like saying Star Wars is absolutely true.
Yeah.
And then having all the arguments be about how it is true.
Yeah.
It is true. And it's like, now the story's not even good.
Oh, I know. And I always think that about Deepak, about Deepak Chopra and just, being a guru or self-help guru, which he has helped himself to about 300 million.
Yes.
But I also think, like, it's so crazy, like, if he's saying, he's godlike, how much did God charge his followers, do you think, to listen?
Right.
There was a fight about a private school, and someone had a sign that said, God loves us for free. They had a protest sign that they're showing at all the Christian private school, which I love.
Oh my God.
Because we just flew to...
Wow, that's so great.
Isn't that impressive?
Yeah.
I love that. That's actually a beautiful way to say it. It sucks the like magic out of the story.
Well, I find in the atheist community, which I've been part of now as long as I was a believer, they don't see how great religion is. Like, to me, it's really the culture and the stories. Forget about what's true.
Yeah.
Like, it's about culture
Yes.
transmission and history transmission. And the stories are great. They're stories of fantastical mythological beings and people transforming and coming back from the dead and magically healing people. And it's so great. And yet, so I think both the Christians and the atheists miss it because the Christians take it too seriously and the atheists reject it. And it's actually great storytelling.
Well, I do think that parting the Red Sea is true. I do think that's true because, I don't know, I have a kind of a little bit of an interest in meteorology, and I think that...
You'd make a great
You're just
weather
baiting
girl.
me.
No. Of course, I don't think any of it...
Like, for us, that's my favorite. My friend's grandmother died 100 years ago. I've been to a zillion funerals, but it was one of those things where the spell was broken. I feel like that's more of like an atheism thing. It's like it just breaks the spell, right? And it takes the fun out of it. But it was one where there was their grandmother died, and these two old ladies, it's Texas, so it's hot, are fanning themselves with the bulletin of their dead friend. You know what I mean? Like, on every album, they're so hot, they're fanning themselves with that. And one of them leans over to the other, and they have a whisper to each other where she goes, "Where do you want to grab lunch after this?" Right? It was like one of those, like, wow, it's not even a spiritual moment. And then the other was, we're in church and they do the call and response. The Lord would be with you then, also with you. We lived every way. And
I don't even know what that is.
The
Wait,
minister,
what was your religion?
Methodist. So easy. Not dogmatic that much, just socially dogmatic.
Yeah.
The minister says something and you repeat it back, right? But it was in that repeating back that my mom leaned over and she was repeating it like a zombie. She'd go, "And also with you," like as a joke. Yeah.
Oh, how
funny. And I was like, well, if you're not in on it, then I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, if it's the joke to you, then it's certainly a joke to me. Like,
right.
And so that from there on, you look at it differently.
Well, there's some, like the Unitarians, who are really great. And I would be a Unitarian if I just didn't, I'm not trying to meet new people.
Yeah.
But the Unitarians,
Wait, it's a dating service?
No, I feel like I know enough people.
Yeah.
But they're really great at... They're very, like, half the people there are atheists, but they use the word God as a symbol. It's like use the word God as a metaphor. Then it's fine. It's a great metaphor. Even in science, they use, like, what would something want to be in science? It doesn't mean that there's a consciousness out there that wants something. It just means that you're trying to guess what some mechanism is trying to do naturally.
Yeah.
Like, what does it want to do? So, like, I feel like God is a great metaphor.
Or even just saying, like, I mean, even with metaphysics, just saying, like, well, it's, the universe is that, like, kind of taking that. It's almost like a scientific approach.
Yeah.
Almost.
Totally.
Like, it's like,
But I think you could do that, except that people can take it too far, in my opinion. But but it doesn't, that doesn't even bother me either. I guess I feel like I was so shocked that there was so little evidence for everything.
Oh, yeah.
It actually I just thought, a lot of smarter, St. Augustine, Thomas Aquinas, a lot of these people really looked into it.
Yeah, no.
And they're geniuses. So, you know, I haven't had time to do a deep dive on whether this is true.
Yeah.
But like when you go to a doctor, you know, like you're not going to stop and become, you know, whatever field they are, an architect, you know, like you're just trusting on the judgment that enough judgment was there that you should go with it.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about church. Like, and then I stopped and looked into it, and it's like, oh, this is built on a house, you know, on sand.
Yeah.
Like there's really
Which is one
nothing.
of their metaphors.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, you use one of theirs. In fact, it's shocking to me how little evidence there is for it. Like, there's not even a debate. Like people are like, you should do a debate. It's like there's no debate.
No debate.
There's not even enough. Like there's now I'm into nutrition. Nutrition is so much more complicated than religion. It's so much harder to tease out what's true and not true in nutrition. It's so much richer and more convoluted of a thing, nutrition. But when I compare it to religion is like child's play. It is like kindergarten.
Yeah.
Americans, I think it's because Americans don't naturally look into anything.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause
well, you can't look into everything.
Yeah.
Their diet is faith-based.
But I mean,
yes.
You know, there was I did this.
It is though.
It is,
That's why
yeah.
people are on. You know. Anyway, I have my feelings
I-
about it. I won't even start that part.
Oh no, I was gonna say that I used to do this bit about how I was getting my house fixed where I used to live, and the contractor, I said, look, the windows are leaking, and I told this to him like twice, and then he said, no, it's not the windows, it's the gutter, you know, on the roof. That's what's like pouring right in. And I said, no, I can see it. And then finally he goes, hey, I've been doing this for 20 years. And then I was okay with it. I was like, okay.
And was he right?
No. And I realized that you can suck at something for a very long time and stay
Yes.
employed.
Yeah.
Right, because no one knows about gutters.
Yeah, or anything. You just
Every person you go to doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah. So it's like, okay. Oh, so you're getting so you're getting by on saying that you haven't been fired, even though you don't know what you're doing,
Right.
Therefore,
So what happened then? Did they finally do the gutter in the place that you said, and that was the place?
I gave up. So then I just like had somebody else do it because I was just like, and the reason I hired him was because he had a mullet and a diamond earring, and I thought this
your type.
guy. I just thought, and this was like in 2004 or whatever, and I thought this guy has stuck with whatever it is. He must work really hard because he hasn't been outside to know that that's
right.
really outdated.
That's so funny.
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit about how he looks.
So funny.
And then I realized, I got scammed. I got sucked in. And he was also this guy, he could track in dog shit from I don't know where. At that point,
Every time he came over.
I didn't even have a dog at that point. I had 3 cats. I didn't have a dog yet because I just moved in. And I was like, where did you find this dog shit? It's like I could put it in the mailbox and you'd still track it. Anyway, that guy.
I got into a fight once it was a house I was renting, right? And the yard kept exploding. Every time you'd flush the toilet, the yard would explode, right? Because one of the pipes was broken. And so
oh, man.
The guy's
Oh, my
yelling at
God.
us. He's looking at me. He's like, someone's flushing tampons in the toilet. I was like, I am not flushing
not that
tampons down the
person.
toilet. It's not me, I promise. And he goes, this house is 30 years old. These pipes have never broken. I was like, well, don't you think it's time they did? It's been 30 years. Like, this is the break, buddy. And sure enough, they dug it up and they're like, there's fucking 5 inches of silt. I was like, yeah. That's also called 30 years, you son of a bitch.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, but then I'm like not butch enough to really argue with any maintenance person.
I have to say, because in our house remodel, my husband, who does know how to do everything, because he's that kind, he's handy. The people that I hire, it's like, they're friendly and they're nice. They chatted me up and they must know what to do. No. Like, and then he would be like, they literally don't know one single thing about their job.
Oh, my God.
And like, and actually there's one guy, before I met Michael, my husband, was sort of like if I met him because his name was at Dunn Edwards as a painter, and I hired him to paint something. We got along, and then he just started doing handyman stuff. Then he also somehow started doing some wallpaper stuff, and then he did some stuff for some famous comedians, like people that he was doing stuff for. So he'd mentioned that to me. And then, of course, I thought, oh, because you're so great. And then he started doing some things. It was so bad. And then I said to Michael, but he works for all these people. He's like, you're saying that a bunch of female comedians of a certain age think that he's good. Therefore, he knows what he's doing. And I'm like, he goes, I don't know. I see that as like a bad example.
I see a pattern of behavior. Yeah.
Right. And then I was like, oh, we're all, because he's so charming and he's funny and he laughs. He laughs at all. He's like, he must know what he's doing. He laughs at everything I say.
When I was in
That is the sign of a competent person. I don't
Exactly.
care. Let him read.
I meet someone, I tell them a few funny stories. Based on how hard they laugh, I know that they can, do brain surgery on me.
But I think that's why I was like, I like going to psychics. We were talking is because I get this weird feeling in my brain that, someone's talking about me, like to me. Like I like that kind of like.
What about a therapist?
Well, I can afford it. I can afford
you
$20 at a psychic.
Is that all it is?
Yeah, a psychic. Yes, you just have to keep asking them questions
until
keep
you
the
hear what you
session
want to
longer.
hear. Is
But
that
why don't
what
you-
it is?
Right, but that's the same
Right.
thing. Like you got your non-maintenance man. I got my non-psychic because they're just talking about us and like enjoying our personality.
It makes me so uncomfortable because the whole time I'm thinking, okay, I know this is a scam. And they know it's a scam.
Right?
But we're both pretending like it isn't a scam.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I get so uncomfortable on their behalf for their obvious knowledge this is a scam
right.
that I don't even know how to hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
It's like, what are
then
we
you just
doing?
go along with
I'm
it.
just like, yeah, sure. That's right.
Yeah.
I foolishly paid $800 because someone told me that, actually somebody that we both know, a male comic showrunner, said this woman's great. Her name's Shar or whatever. And then I looked her up. And
Michael Patrick King.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
fuck.
And
I am so happy to have this information.
yeah.
Okay.
But here's the crazy thing. She didn't get anything right. Not one fucking thing. And I guessed that she was a Leo.
You got her.
It's like, who's paying who here?
Yeah. She should have paid
But wait,
me.
he had gone to her and he felt like she knew what
Oh,
she was
yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
See,
How
this
did
is a
you
bad thing about being as a known skeptic is no one tells me things anymore. So I'm
But
glad
wait,
that you're telling me.
how
this.
did you guess?
Don't go.
You picked up on the psychic energy that it was Michael's?
Because it just seemed like a showrunner we both know who would be likely. It's like how the psychics work.
Exactly.
It's just deduction. It's
You
making
would
a
be-
good guess.
It's context
how many
clues.
Julia.
people do we both know who are showrunners?
You would be.
Oh,
I got
Julia, you're an amazing psychic. You could be, you and Brett Butler could be.
I just can't wait to bust Michael Patrick King's ass.
That is fucking crazy.
Tell me about your psychic.
Are you into mindfulness as a meditation?
I do. Well, I
like
do a waking up meditation.
Like
Not every morning, like 4 mornings.
What
a
is
week.
that?
You know, Sam Harris. He has an app called Waking Up.
No.
It's great. He does a 10-minute meditation. It's very science based, so
Yeah.
it's not woo woo. This is what happens to me in a lot of meditation. Breathe in, breath, oxygen, the basis of all life. I think no, it's not.
Yeah.
That is 100% not true.
Yeah.
There are animals that don't breathe. Oxygen was a gas that was created by the synthesis of different things. It's not true. And then it's like, then I'm not meditating. And then it's like, okay, then I have to go. But the point is that you're calming yourself with the breath.
Yes.
So I need to have somebody who really isn't going to do that. So Sam Harris really doesn't do that.
Mhm.
So
And it's
you
the-
did.
You can't read Allure magazine because they say, what are the things you can't live without?
Yeah.
Oh, this lipstick.
But wait, I have all those things.
Yeah.
I definitely have 10 things I can't live without.
I know, but I always think that's so crazy. I can't live without food, actually. How about you?
I like when there is like a lip gloss though. Like
Yeah.
like everyone needs a lip thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah.
Moisturizer.
So wait, a question.
Mine is MAC Twig. Twig is my color.
Really?
And I can't live without it.
It's the little green, the little squeeze.
No, it's just a little black. It looks like a Kotex thing. Like it's like a little
Man,
bullet.
when I first moved to LA, there was this weed lip balm, like
Oh.
CBD thing, right?
Oh,
It-
on your lips?
Yes, and your lips would get like bigger or high or whatever. I don't know, but it was like they were like peppermint, and it was the biggest lip boost. It was so good, and then they went out of business or were illegal the whole time. I don't know.
But you could probably get them now.
I can't find it. I've tried all the other bombs. They're not
What
the
about
same.
online?
Wow.
They're not. No,
It seems like it would really go in your system fast from your lips.
Well, it was like I have an intolerance level, but you know when you call a business and it's clearly someone's phone.
Yes.
It was that vibe, yeah.
There was someone who called me, I guess it was an assistant, because I was just trying to get into the ENT, but everybody's, working at home. And this woman sounded very professional. And then I heard a baby wailing in the background. It was
Oh,
like,
God.
"Ah!" So should we say 4:00?
Right.
Yeah.
Not to always bring it back to this, but the same psychic who told me my chakra wasn't rotating, you could hear her dog and kid in the back.
Yeah.
Where, like they clearly lived
Well,
there.
that's kind of part of the tradition of psychics, right? They're just storefront, but
Yeah.
they live in the back.
Yeah, because I started in pandemic. I started going around LA and taking pictures of all the psychic neon
Oh, wow.
because I love the art.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
It's really
yeah,
pretty.
it's very
But that's when you hear the late night sounds with like the door open.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
like, it's home sounds.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like a TV or like a dog. Get back here! That kind of stuff.
You know the Greystone Mansion here?
Oh, yeah.
I like to go on tours around LA.
Me too.
I'm a very proud LA Angelino. And they had a ghost tour of Greystone Mansion. This is how secular I am. It never occurred to me that somebody would seriously talk about ghosts. I thought it meant the history of Greystone Mansion. No, so then I get there, and the first thing the guy says, and I bring my husband Michael, who's like, he is beyond skeptic. He's a scientist. And the guy goes, my first question is, how many people here have the sight? And I was like, oh no. And Michael's looking at me like, what have you brought me to? And then like almost everyone's hands go up, and I'm just like, wait, is this about ghosts? And it's like, yeah, this tour name is The Ghosts of Greystone Mansion. I go, I thought you meant just like the ghosts, like what's happened here,
Yes.
and
Like
that's
the
the
haunt- yes.
like what has. Let's know about what happened at Greystone Mansion.
Like the stories that
No,
haunt the
it's literal ghosts. And then we did the whole tour. It was like a 3-hour tour of Greystone Mansion. Every story. Michael's favorite line from the whole thing was, "This is not hearsay. I heard it firsthand. This is not hearsay. I heard it firsthand." Yes.
But just it's still hearsay.
Yeah, exactly.
So I honestly, not to get dark about it, but like as a non-believer, like losing someone is traumatic for all kinds of reasons. But like funerals for me are very. I feel like you sitting at the psychic being like, we all know this is a sham, right? Like
Right.
where everyone's like they're in a better place, or I find funerals to be very light because of
Yeah,
that.
well, because it's really not about the dead person. It's about the people who are surviving, right?
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
and the
really,
food.
yeah, and I just went through this because my mom died last November. We had her celebration of life in August, so I just went to Spokane for 2 weeks, and
Damn.
yeah. So anyway, there's stories about that, but
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
and but you know, like, and it was a Catholic service, but I was glad for it. There was something to say. There was a ritual to say. There was
Yeah.
a pre-subscribed way to be with each other. We knew it wasn't just like, well, she's gone.
Yeah.
It was like, no, say this prayer, say that prayer. We put a rose into the grave. You know, like we had rituals that we did. It felt very comforting.
Catholic funerals are dramatic, or maybe
Yeah,
your
well, this
mother's
was more
wasn't.
like Catholic prayers at the burial site.
Gotcha.
Oh.
Yeah,
We didn't
yeah,
do
yeah.
the whole mass.
Yeah,
I can't. To me, I can take about 5 minutes of that.
and I'm out. Yeah, it's
Julia,
a lot.
do you have a sister? You
Yeah.
Okay, so
I
it's
have a
just you
sister.
and your sister.
No, there's 5 kids, but
Oh.
2 have passed away. My sister Meg lives in Japan, where she's lived for 35 years, and my brother Jim lives in Seattle area.
Oh, okay. So they were there, or they?
Yeah, Meg came from Japan, and she hasn't been here for like many years. And my mom was a really difficult person, so it was. Although I was thinking my parents had the most success with the youngest kid because he was the most like my dad and he was the most like my mom, and he actually liked our mom.
Ah.
Like, you know, like so
Yeah.
so his I think it's kind of what personalities come out.
Yeah.
But like Meg and I had a really hard time with my mom, and Meg more than me, but I did too. So it was a complicated situation because we were really happy to be free of her.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually the greatest thing between us because my mother would sort of pit us against each other all the time.
Oh.
You know, like, so we had a whole week of being together, kind of airing, you know, all the stories and what had happened to each of us that was so unfair and what we misunderstood about what someone else had done. Like, it was really a great. It was good.
Yeah.
It's good that she's gone.
Yeah.
But we still had all the family came from all parts of Washington, and we had a party at the bar that my parents went to their first date at.
Oh,
What was that?
Which is a
amazing.
really divey bar.
Yes.
It
What
was
it
like, I
called?
think you could predict what was going to happen.
Yes. You've been doing a lot of like one-woman shows, basically.
Yeah.
Since SNL.
Yes.
But I mean, you do TV work and things like that. But you write your own stuff, and they're all one-woman shows. What's your writing structure process like?
It's really out of laziness.
But see, here-
Because
no,
because I remember I think, okay, well, it really started because of the uncab, because my brother had cancer and I had cancer. My parents moved in with me, and the only outlet I had, because they were all living in this house, the same house I'm living in now.
Wow.
My parents, my brother who's dying, me, we're all in this house for 9 months.
And your parents moved in to take care of y'all?
Yeah, except that they need taking care of.
Right.
I mean, like, they're the people that it's like you're trying to go to your own chemo and they're asking you to stop and get a Diet Coke on the way. Like, they're like, it would be so much easier. I could actually handle having cancer if I didn't also have to take care of my parents who need to feel like they're taking care of you, but also are incompetent
Are
at
not,
it.
yeah.
So you're constantly like, no, that was good. You did make dinner. You did make dinner. What would I have done without you making dinner? Now, I just need you to, it was so horrible. But anyway, the only outlet I had was the uncab.
Yeah.
Julia, when you did "and God said ha,"
Yeah.
I thought that meant you were religious.
Well, I was religious then, except
okay.
that I had a kind of benign idea of God as kind of I would say my vision of God was like a very friendly uncle who really has no power. He sees everything. Actually, I'm using that in something I'm writing right now.
Yeah,
it's funny. I didn't realize that, but I really,
Great.
he's like a compassionate uncle. Like, oh, Julia, how could you not get that part?
But with dementia, it sounds like he has, like a dementia village, like an Amsterdam.
Your closet uncle. Yeah.
I meant to stop that fire, and I started it.
Yes.
I left a switch on, and I didn't realize it was right next to the curtain.
And God
the
is like,
candle.
oh, Julia, oh, Laura,
Was it
you
really?
make me laugh.
So you even at that time you were religious. Did it feel like the rug was pulled out from it? This enlightenment or this
Well,
like
at that
on-off
time that I
switch?
wrote that, I was culturally religious. I would say
Mm-hmm.
the same way my parents were. I had taken it really seriously. I was smart enough to know how to make fun of it, but I still also kind of believed it.
Sure.
So I was like, I can make fun of it, but I also kind of believe it. So I was in that space for God Said Ha. It was like, God's throwing stuff at you.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely felt like it came from on high. Like, I got this cancer because I'm going to show that I can overcome it. Like, I had a kind of childlike destiny thing about it. Anyway, then after that, I went through a terrible breakup. I had a guy that I really thought I was going to have a family with, and I was
Wait
really
a
in
second,
love with.
Julia. Is this the guy with guns under the bed?
Yes.
I never liked that
No.
guy. I never met
He
that
was
guy.
wrong.
You were saying that he had rifles under
Yeah.
your bed. And
Yes.
I remember
No,
you talking
he's
about it.
really
I was
into
like,
guns.
Jesus, this isn't it.
Oh, God.
Did he try to get you into guns?
No.
That's
Okay.
even weirder.
Julia, go ahead with the story. Why
No,
did
but
you
I know. Actually, one of the biggest mysteries of my life is why I cared so much about him. You know what I think? It's because he's from Idaho, and he was a real Idaho kind of guy. And there was something about going through the cancer, losing my brother, my parents, that made me feel territorial and tribal. Like, he's from, even though he was raised Mormon, but we're from the same part of the world. We see the world this way. He's like one of those guys from Idaho. Like, and now I look back and I think of all the big relationships I've had, which is probably only like 3 or 4 my whole life.
Me too.
The one that broke my heart was that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's like that guy was, if you lined up these people, fortunately, I'm with the most appropriate person. I think I just had to get to the certain age where I could identify somebody who was right.
Oh, yeah.
But of the other people, he was the least right person by in any measure.
Yeah.
Like, and the whole idea that I was just going to lay down my life for this guy. And then it was because I wanted to adopt and he didn't want to.
Oh.
So it was a big fight over kids. But thank fate that happened.
Yeah.
Because I'd be stuck with this guy.
Yes.
Oof. I'd be parenting with somebody like that, which he wasn't terrible. He's a nice guy, but just not appropriate to me, not intellectual in any way, couldn't keep up with me mentally, which is okay, but not by that big of a margin.
Right.
You know, like where you have to explain every single thing to that person.
Yeah.
And he broke my heart, and it took me like a year to get over it. Like, I had 9 months where I was like, it was the biggest depression. Like, I couldn't function. I was like crying. I couldn't get over it. I couldn't believe it. And I couldn't get over it. And I didn't have a uterus. I wanted to be a mother very badly. So it just seemed like the end of the line. And I had this religious experience. I was praying a lot. And I had this religious experience where I felt like God came into my bedroom, not like a person, but like a spirit or something. And something physical happened to me where I knew I was over it. Like, like after 9 months, where I goes like, and it felt like God was saying, you're going to be okay. and this is all like part of a plan, and this is okay. Like I had this really big spiritual something happen to me. It wasn't just a feeling. It felt physical.
Wow.
And I knew I was on the other side. I knew it was going to still be hard. I was going to cry a lot still, but I was past the worst of it. It was like 9 months. So it was really like a year altogether to get over this guy.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I guess I should be religious now because I had this experience with God. And I guess God wanted me to be a Catholic because that's where I was born. So I started going to St. Monica's. And also I was going to Al-Anon meetings there, which is another part. My family is filled with alcoholics. Anyway, so I was going to Al-Anon meetings, going to St. Monica's. And then they had a Bible study class. And I was like, well, you know what? It's time for me to read the Bible because I've been relying on all these geniuses to tell me how true everything is, like Thomas Aquinas, St. Augustine. But, you know, now it's time to really, what do you got, St. Augustine? What do you got, Thomas Aquinas? I want to hear. So I took this Bible study class, and that was really the beginning of the end. Like, once I actually read the Bible, it was like, wait a minute.
Wow.
This is the evidence? This is the evidence?
Yes.
And then it was like, oh my God, this is really a house of cards. Like, this is really based on nothing but tradition and authority. So then I started looking into it, and then that made me discover science. Then I started understanding what was happening in my brain, which is I had a frontal right lobe seizure probably, which is similar to epilepsy, but you can have those if you're in really terrible emotional pain,
like traumatic
pain.
Yes,
oh, wow.
yes.
I don't know that that's what happened, but then I started studying that. So then it was like, oh, I know what happened to me. That wasn't God. It was just my cultural upbringing and my worldview made me think it was God.
Yes.
But actually a physical thing happened to me.
Correct.
So then I understood that. Then I was like, well, is there even a God? Then I couldn't stop reading. Then I had like 2 years of like, there must be a God. Like, there must be a God. And then it was just finally, there was just no evidence. And finally, I just had to say, okay, there is no God. I don't think there's a God. I don't think there's any evidence for a God. And then it was just kind of starting life over.
Yeah. I had a Ukrainian Orthodox priest friend. He was this older guy who looked like Santa Claus. He was so sweet. He had amazing stories, but he would talk about ghosts. His personal definition of a ghost was that, like, when, you know, we're electricity, your body is electrical, right? That when you go through a traumatic event, you're high energy, right? And you're more electrical. Your brain is firing off, your heart is, your nervous system. So that hauntings and things were an electrical, like, residue, so to speak. Anyway, he's explaining this to me. We're at Red Lobster. And I just feel like that debunked his whole faith. You know what I mean? I was like, so we're all electricity. So anything spooky is just
it's just sort of putting a scientific patina
spin
on
on
something.
it, right?
I keep thinking, I can't explain why that's wrong, but I know if my husband were here,
he'd be like, that's wrong.
He would go, oh, that is such an admirable
horseshit,
attempt at trying to explain away something that that is not that.
But that's what I thought he was.
Like, I think he'd go, oh, we're not electricity, by the way. First of all.
We need like a voice of reason in here that's not God. We need like the scientific voice of reason.
I remember like in 8th grade finding out about spontaneous human combustion.
Oh, yes.
You have to ask your husband about that.
Right.
Sure, he'll say that's
like Kurt
bullshit
Vonnegut.
too.
Which is the book where there's somebody spontaneously combusts in one of them, I think.
Cat's Cradle.
Maybe Cat's Cradle.
Champions. Slaughterhouse 5.
I can't remember. But that was big.
Yeah.
Spontaneous combustion.
Yeah, I thought, okay, now I have a way out. I kept thinking, that's how I'm going to go.
I must combust.
Yeah.
That was like an inside edition, like a current affair.
Yeah.
Right.
Would be
That became like, it's like the UFOs now. It's like, oh!
Yeah.
I'm so shocked, like, because I feel like that's sort of related. Does like religion never backs up aliens? Because I feel like that debunks God.
Even
right?
though they are saying that a supernatural being came down and fucked somebody and got them pregnant. I mean, they are kind of aping those stories.
But don't you? There's also the theory that the North Star was a UFO.
There is?
Oh.
Well, fucking some weird online Reddit theories. Yes, the three kings followed the star.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But that was a spaceship.
That was a spaceship.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's cute.
It's a Christmas Carol. As a writer, what's your practice? Because I feel like your brain is firing off all the time. I saw you uncab. You said laziness was your thing, but I saw you uncab, and right before you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and then you killed.
Oh, you're so sweet.
No, but like...
well, right now, I'm writing a book of fiction, a novel. I'm writing a novel.
Yay!
I'm just at the beginning, but it's about the death of Cass Elliot from The Mamas and the Puppets.
Oh, right.
So it's just, and I've been working on it for years now.
Yeah.
But it only became a novel in the last 3 months. And it really came because I was doing another past class on the screenplay, and then I thought I'll just write it as prose. And it just came to life for me. Like it was like, oh my God, this is what it wants to be. I really felt strongly that, and now it's like I can't even imagine it as a screenplay. It's like no, it's a book. This is a book.
How did you get interested in that, in the mamas and the papas?
During the pandemic, I watched this documentary called Laurel Canyon. There was 2 different ones. There's one that, what's his name, was the host of, the son of Bob Dylan, who's the
Jacob Dylan.
Yes,
yeah.
he and that one was terrible.
Oh, okay.
And then there was this one this Australian woman did called Laurel Canyon. It was in 2 parts, 2 hours each. So it's 4 hours. And I knew all that stuff vaguely, you know, but I didn't it blew my mind to watch it. So I was kind of in love with the whole Laurel Canyon.
Oh, yeah.
Early folk rock scene. And
that the Doors were right there and all that stuff.
Like all the stuff. And then, of course, Mama Cass's house was really like, you know, like they called her the Gloria Steinem of that era because people were all coming to her house and she's putting people together that were forming bands and, you know, like all this stuff. I guess I just got excited about Cass Elliot. So then I started reading about her, and then I had this kind of concept for her death. You know, like when you go through your whole life when you die, supposedly, if she's like wakes up in the middle of the heart attack that she had and she goes through her life, and then we see that life, but then that became more complicated. Now that's what it is. It has supernatural elements in it, and it has magic in it. And it's kind of like imagining if the 10 minutes that you still have consciousness between a massive heart attack and death were just this crazy LSD trip of your life. That's what it is.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's great. I have 60 pages of it. Plus, like 3 screenplays that are like hundreds of pages long that I couldn't fit everything in that I wanted to fit in about her life.
Yeah.
And then I realized when I write a book, I can just go anywhere. I don't have to worry about it being important. Like I had to cut so many things about her childhood that are so important and interesting, and like that she
like
and like when she was 18, she went to New York. She decided she didn't even graduate from high school. She was just going to go to New York. Her parents were upset, and she auditioned for the musical I'll Sell It to You Wholesale with her and Barbra Streisand auditioning together, sitting in the waiting room together, both 18 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she had to hear Barbra Streisand singing behind the door, auditioning for this part that she got. And then Cass had to go in afterwards.
Ooh.
And she did a crazy thing. She took all her hair and put it in front of her face and put a like she had this crazy reaction to it and still sang. And she's still Cass Elliot.
Wow.
I mean, like she can sing.
Yeah.
But like stuff like that, like these little dovetails and people in history and stuff like that.
Have you always been kind of obsessed with her?
No, but I always liked her.
Yeah.
I remember when she died. So she died in 1974.
Yep.
July 29th, 1974.
Look at you. Wait, I think that's the day Vivian Vance died.
Oh.
Or her birthday.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I don't know.
Yeah,
the
no.
night before that was Mick Jagger's birthday because he was turning 32 and she went to his birthday party.
Oh. That's the last time people saw her.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they think she took drugs there. She was, you know, she had a lot of problems with drugs and a lot of things. But they think she probably did heroin and LSD. But she died of a heart attack that was from many reasons.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I loathe the rumor about her death.
I know.
I loathe
Well, you know,
it.
they put that out there because they were trying to take away from the drugs.
Oh.
Because all these people who just died, of, like all these rock and roll people had just died of drug overdoses.
Yeah.
And they didn't want her to be in that category.
Another one.
So they made the sandwich
Which is
story.
horrendous.
I
So
know.
that,
Let's see.
so that
she's
it's like
fat.
she's
Yeah,
fat.
exactly.
Probably
Right.
choked on food.
But
Right.
I was in a...
There was a sandwich by her bed, but it was not eaten. She didn't take
who doesn't
one.
have a sandwich by their bed? You know what I mean? Like, who?
I always tell Garrett, will you please do the dishes, take them out of the bed?
Put the sandwich away. I was in a rap group called Show Me Tiger, and with the 2 female front women, and we all had rap names. And mine was Mama Cash. And mine was that I choked on money. That was my favorite, my
cute.
homage to her. But nobody knew who Mama Cass was.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So I'd have to explain my fucking name to
Everybody that I want to write about, nobody knows about.
That's the thing, yeah.
They're like, no one's going to buy this.
Like who?
Wait a
I
second.
no
wanna know
one
who.
Julia-
knows about these people.
But Cass Elliot has a daughter, doesn't she?
Yes.
Yeah.
Owen.
Have you
And
talked to
she's
her?
no, I haven't. But I've watched every interview with her on YouTube. There's a lot because actually China Phillips has like a YouTube channel,
Oh.
and she recently interviewed her.
Oh, wow.
And I've read everything I can get my hands on.
Oh, okay.
And she doesn't. I don't. She was 7 when her mom died, and so it's a big deal to Cass's thinking as she's dying. But since my story is so made up, it's not that necessary. She did give in the interviews I've seen really great information that I'm putting in the book. Like the last time she saw her mom, she was on a plane at Burbank,
Oh my God.
flying to her grandmother's house. Where she was going to stay while Cass went to London to do her show. And Cass was behind this fence and she was on the plane and they were waving to each other. And that's her last image
Ooh.
because
Fuck.
she was 7. And that's the last time she saw her mom. Anyway, so right now, because I'm somebody who can do research for the rest of my life
Yes.
and never stop and write.
Yeah.
So I've been doing, like, I have a whole bookshelf that is just about all the mamas and papas, everybody around that era, everyone she knew. And I could just spend my life reading those books and then be 99 and then never have written the script or the book. So now I have a new challenge for September that every morning I just get up, have coffee, and write for at least an hour. I can keep going, but I can stop after 1 hour. So I put my timer on, and even if I go to the bathroom, I have to pause the timer. And then I'm just in the thing writing. So now it's been 5 days. And
I'm impressed.
No, but it really is hard. It seems so small, but actually it's hard to just do that. Because I always want to get up and it's like, well, I think I'll do yoga. You know what? I have to run an errand. And no, before I write, I have to write my journal. Like I have a million excuses before I write. It's also closest to when I've been sleeping, which I feel like is closest to the muse, like you're closer to the spark.
Yep.
So I feel like just get up and go and just get 1 hour in. So like this morning, because I went to bed at 8 o'clock last night.
Yes.
Wow.
This
My
morning
hero.
at 5:30, I started my hour. So, and then at 6:30, actually all the other days I went longer than an hour, but this morning I wanted to work out. So I stopped at 6:30. I still had a full workout and I feel really good. Like I feel like I'm on my way, but it's a struggle to get me to actually do it.
Yeah.
I can talk about it till the cows come home. I can research it till the cows come home. But to actually not just get it on paper, but shape it into where somebody could look at it and and it's actually accumulating into a finished thing is very hard for me.
Does it help to have like a centered topic, like like Cass Elliot, and then you can just write every morning, or
Yeah.
like at least give some kind
Yeah.
of
Well,
destination
right
for
now, because, some writers have to make a strong outline, then they write to the outline.
Yep.
Those are better people than me.
it?
But I kind of rely on where I'm going while I'm writing. Then there's
Right.
people who just start writing and see where it takes them. Like they're making it up as they go. So I'm trying to do kind of a hybrid, but I'm more of a write as you go person. But if you're as a write as you go person for everything, you're going to write way more than you need to.
Yeah.
Like you're probably going to write 3 times more than you'll ever need.
Chop it down.
So I don't like that idea either. Like
Yeah.
you want an outline. You want to know where you're headed. So I have a very, very loose outline because it's the only way to get myself to write is to let myself just write
Yeah.
and not have to sit and think, well, what should happen in the second act before the third act? Like I hate that so much. So I'm just writing.
That's kind of a religion.
Yeah, it is. Well, keeping these rituals.
Yeah.
Rituals, useful.
It's
Yes.
a thing though, right?
Yes. This has been fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, this has been great. Thank
This
you
has
so
been
much.
great. I
Yeah.
love
So
getting to
I
talk to you. I
see
love
you.
you so much,
Yeah.
Laura. I love you so much.
You're here.
I'm
I
always so
appreciate
happy. Whenever you were on stage, it was like it just lit up the room for me.
Oh, thank you. And vice versa.
And
right
you
back
too.
at
I feel the same
and
way.
right back
I'm such
at you.
I'm a Kightlinger fan.
And Julia, we'll have to get together over a map, and you can show me where things are.
Yes.
If you wouldn't mind.
Just start
I can
driving
ask you.
north.
Okay.
Drive north. You can take the
Okay.
395 or you can take the 5. And you just drive for 24
Julia,
hours.
I don't get on the freeway when I drive because
Well, you're going to love it in Ireland. There's no freeways. There's just the country road going from Clifton to Galway.
I'll just be on a bicycle going nowhere, and that's fine with me. I was like, that's
I'm
it.
like that too, though.
Yeah.
Like I have terrible
Really?
sense of direction.
Oh.
Yeah. Like Michael always goes, how I know where to go? Looking to see where you turn, it's the opposite direction.
Oh my God, that's what Kara said. I always immediately go in the wrong direction.
Yeah,
Like
he
it's
goes,
turned around.
your instinct to go the wrong way is absolutely perfect. It's like you just know the wrong way to go.
That's exactly what I do. Like I could walk out of a building and be anywhere.
Yeah, me
It's like,
too.
I don't know.
Me too.
Yeah.
I guess we shouldn't go somewhere together. We'll have to bring you.
Bring me.
We need a man to show
Yes.
us the way.
Oh,
to follow.
ladies, you are so cute going the wrong way.
Right? You need to follow the Lord.
Well, thank you so much.
Julia.
Thank you, Julia.
Thank you. I like being here.
Oh,
Thank you
Don't
for my
leave.
pillow. I'm not taking 2 pillows.
Yeah.
I want you to take both.
No. And
It's
also,
the
do you
same
really?
size?
I know, but
Oh, you don't have to. Just take this one.
Well, they're both great, but
Just take this one and get out.